So welcome to this evening's press conference following today's Agriculture and Fisheries Council. With me I have Minister Jakob Jensen and Commissioner Christophe Hansen, who are both ready to take questions. But first I will give the floor to both of them for short statements. So Minister, if you want to start.
Yes. There you go. Well, now it's working. Thank you very much, Stine. And I'll do it very briefly during this late hour. We've had a very long but also very good meeting with, among other things, discussions on the Common Agricultural Policy. This time we have focused on the green architecture, and the ministers, they were very clear that we need to move ahead with the green transition, and we also need to make it attractive for farmers to take part in the green transition as such. And there was also broad agreement that we need to make the green rules simple and flexible, so they will work in practice. We also had a very fruitful discussion on the market situation, where we were joined by the Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine. Trade in agricultural products is a vital source of income for the Ukrainian economy, and also in the face of Russia's continued brutal attacks. And today's discussion also highlighted both the opportunities and challenges related to Ukraine's gradual integration into EU agricultural markets. From the Presidency's side, we especially wanted to focus on how the EU can ensure Ukraine's alignment with the EU production standards and how we can assist Ukraine in that process. And finally, our discussion on the Commission strategy on young farmers showed how important this issue is for the Member States. Getting more farmers into the sector will be key for our food security in the future, and the update of the new technology and also the green transition as such. So we appreciate the work being done by the Commissioner in that respect as well.
Commissioner?
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and first of all, thank you for staying that late. Indeed, it was a very long day already, and I would like to thank Minister Jensen as well for inviting Deputy Prime Minister Kashka of Ukraine as well. I think it was a very good discussion that we had with him bilaterally, but as well with the ministers, and I believe it was fruitful as well to see the unwavering support for Ukraine, and also we discussed, of course, the new DCFTA TRQs and the frame that will enter into force by the end of the month, which will as well give predictability to the sector. And I think this was much needed, because during the ATMs, of course, there have been some turbulences, and this sets again a more stable solution for the future. It is always also very important to say that we insisted very strongly during the negotiations on the meeting of our production standards when it comes to plant protection products, animal welfare, and so on. So Ukraine committed to align by our production standards by 2028. This was very important also to remind that trade flows in both directions, not only imports from Ukraine to the EU, but as well many sectors like the dairy sector, the meat sector, etc., are benefiting hugely from the exports to Ukraine, and also what is very important, we discussed as well the accession process to the European Union, as well when it comes, for example, meeting the production standards of the EU. And also we had a very timely discussion on the market situation of our different sectors, which of course was important as well to see where the challenges lie, where we need as well to pay particular attention. We have as well discussed the recently allocated 50 million for farmers from 5 different countries, from Bulgaria, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland and Romania, especially in the fruit and vegetable sectors affected by exceptionally cold and rainy spring. Also, I think in that context, I reminded in the frame of the future MFF, the Unity safety net, so a strengthened risk management tool. We have currently 450 million annually in the agriculture reserve. In the future, we would have 900 million annually in order to absorb shocks from different angles. And this then we had, of course, as well the discussion on the green architecture of the next CIP. There were a lot of positive signals from the member states, but as well some concerns that have been expressed. But I think overall it was very important to hear as well that the member states want from this future architecture to be easier and simpler than the current one. I think that was one of the very strong voices we heard today. So this is why our CAP proposal follows the promise made as well in the vision for the future of agriculture. More incentives, fewer one-size-fits-all conditions, and we want a simpler policy, one better designed for greater impact, and as well taking into account the territorial approach, so the simplification will be achieved with the merging of the two pillars, for example, so no more different financing for measures that go into the same direction. Eco schemes and agro-environmental measures often have this similar objectives, and I think there we can cut already on the administrative burden and avoid overlaps. Also, we introduce an important novelty, a lump sum payment of up to 200,000 euros to accompany farms' transitions to more sustainable practices, and of course the increased flexibility given to the member states to design practices tailored to their local conditions, and this should as well lead to higher uptake of environmentally friendly practices. I want to stress that this flexibility will of course accompanied by a strong oversight and guiding by the Commission there as well. I think this is very important to remind because this will guarantee as well the big C of our common agriculture policy. We will in that sense as well issue the CAP recommendations to ensure this common approach, and I want to recall as well that the future national and regional partnership plans have 43% spending target for environment and climate objectives. Of course, we discussed as well the generational renewal strategy that has been adopted last week, as you know, and there was a strong demand, of course, for that as well to see how we can combine European policies combined with national and regional policies in order to ensure this generational renewal, in order to get the conditions right to make the profession again more attractive for young and new farmers, and therefore as well we need to work on the attractiveness of the rural areas. So these were some of the points that we discussed today.
Thank you for the statements. Let's open up for questions. I also have some of you online, so you can raise your hands online as well. Just if you can go ahead and say your name and media. Yes, Maria, go ahead. Oh, let's see. I think Yves is on his way.
Maria for Euractiv, thank you for the floor and the briefing. A couple of questions for Commissioner Hansen. How would you justify the 30% co-financing for green incentives, which has drawn a lot of criticism today during the discussion on sustainability, and maybe the Minister's view on that as well? And then also for the Commissioner, can you ensure that each and all of member states will have enough room for maneuver to find additional funds to top up the minimum amount for agriculture in their NRPP plans? Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. On the 30% co-financing, we have, of course, different views in the room. I think that was very clear. Some member states might struggle with bigger co-financing rates, and that is why we have the minimum. But some, of course, were asking as well for an upper limit. So this will be, of course, now discussed in the course of the next months. On the question concerning availability under the NRP allocation, and especially the non yet ring-fenced money. So for the countries we have everywhere are flexibilities to do that. Some have more, some have less, that is true, but this comes as well from the fact that there is currently quite a significant difference between for example, direct payments. So this is something where we propose as well to bring the direct payments themselves closer together, having a range from 130 to 240 euros per hectare. We call this now the decisive area-based payments. So this is where I believe that the member states have the flexibility. Of course, there is still a certain reluctancy because some fear that they will have to fight for that inside their own government with the different responsible ministers. But this, as I said again, it is the beginning of a discussion, and over the next 2 years there will be a lot of things being moved around by the co-legislators.
I don't know. I think I feel covered by the comments made by the Commission. Of course, there are different views, and as the Commissioner said, we will have to work with that in the coming period. It's very important for us that also when it comes to this, that we have to move on and also to see progress when it comes to green transition. And of course, we also have to give that flexibility, but also at the same time find the right balance in order to have a level playing field, so to speak. So there are different views on this, and we will work with that together with the Commission.
Lucia?
Hi, Lucia from Politico. I wanted to ask about Austria's AOB point, suggesting quite a thorough restructuring to the CAP and to the NRPP regulation accompanying it. Commissioner, you said that you'd take it under consideration, but what level of restructuring could actually be possible of the CAP and NRPP regulation? Thank you.
Well, this is, of course, the right of the co-legislator to ask for this. The Austrian paper got a lot of support from different member states. So, of course, we will have to look into that. There are points when it comes to the governance, mainly about certain articles that currently are in the NRP regulation and not in the CAP regulation. So there might, for example, there were requests to have certain points moved. There is as well a concern about the position of the regions when it comes not only for agriculture, but I think more generally. So this is something where we will have to look as well with the European Parliament on what is asked there and what can be done in the short term or the medium term on that.
And just to comment on that as well, I mean, I took also good note on the discussions and the debate that was going on during this agenda point. 17 member states, including Austria, supported this, and of course we have to look into the details and also how we can move on. The structure, of course, is set up for policy instruments that is part of MFF, but as chair of the Agriculture and Fisheries Council, I will concentrate and focus on what will be under our responsibility and leave the discussions not only for the MFF but also for the MFF. It's there for them to decide. But that being said, the discussion today says a lot of how important it is for the agricultural ministers as well, for obvious reasons. So we will of course take good note of this.
And I don't think there are any more questions in the room or online. So just quickly, in the end, I always try to just give an old Danish saying, says something about our mentality and the way we like to express ourselves, might help you ask some even better questions. I had really hoped tonight, thinking about the negotiations still going on in terms of fishery, to be able to say in Danish, så den ged barberet, which basically means now that goat is shaved, that job is done. But we'll have to go with this instead. Man skal ikke sælge skindet før bjørnen er skudt, which literally translates into don't sell the skin before the bear is shot. And I think you, as English speakers, know it as don't count your chicks before they are hatched. Thanks so much for this press conference.